New engine data suggests that the Malaysia Airlines flight that has completely disappeared was actually flying for an additional 4 hours after its radar disappearance. So that is one clue into what could have possibly happened. And of course, authorities are investigating this in any way they can. There are obviously many different possibilities in this case, and as you've seen in the mainstream media, there's been a lot of speculation as to what has happened. Now, according to a report in Washington Post, they said the following: the Wall Street Journal. According to a report in the Wall Street Journal, U.S. counterterrorism officials are pursuing the possibility that a pilot or someone else on board the plane may have diverted it toward an undisclosed location after intentionally turning off the jetliner's transponders to avoid radar detection, according to one person tracking the probe. Another possibility is that officials were told investigators are actively pursuing the notion that the plane was diverted with the intention of using it for another purpose. And so that probably goes toward the terrorism theories. And again, that's just speculation, but apparently that's something that investigators are looking into.
So two things we want to discuss here. One is the substance of the story, and then secondly, the coverage of this story. So internally here, we've had a little bit of a debate as to how much to cover this story. I'm absolutely fascinated by it. I think it's a really interesting story. As soon as I read this part of the story, I thought, well, you know, my guess that it's terrorism related is far more likely to be the case. And part of the reason that I guessed that was because if there was an accident, there would be at least a couple of seconds of panic that you would hear as they tried to call for help. It would be really unusual for that not to happen. But if someone's taking over the plane, you would think that something like that might happen anyway, unless it was the pilot. And so as soon as I read this, I was like, ding, 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 ding. That's really interesting, makes a ton of sense. And I feel bad about this because then, you know, this is real speculation. It is at least remotely possible that they're still alive.
Right.
That they landed the plane somewhere, right? And that would make sense with the people who were calling people on their phone and still getting rings. They were doing that on TV, et cetera. Now, so as you can tell, I'm fascinated by the story. Mm-hmm. It's not every day that a gigantic 777 disappears and we can't find it. On the other hand, we've covered it a little bit here, just about 5 minutes a day for about 3 days, right? You have CNN covering it approximately 23 hours and 50 minutes of every single day since it's disappeared.
Yeah, and understand that happens because they're getting a temporary ratings boost. People are wondering about it, and some people like the speculation. They want to somehow solve this problem. But I just think that it's really irresponsible to devote that much time to covering this particular topic when you literally have no new information on it, right? You're just reporting the same thing over and over again. You're bringing guests on to speculate. And my biggest worry about that is it doesn't do any good, and it certainly adds insult to injury to the victims' family members, because I'm sure that they're in a terrible state right now and they don't want to hear all these theories about terrorism and this and that. They want real information.
Or they might want to hear it, or they might want to hear it the most. They obviously are going to be very curious what happened. Look, Anna and I disagree about the speculation. I think I get it. I think it's warranted, and I do it. Okay, and keep it real here. But when you have new information like we do today, you do it for however many minutes, and it makes sense. How can you do it for hour after hour after hour after hour? In other words, you're saying, I don't really care about all of the news. All I care about is how am I going to get ratings? I think since this is an incredible mystery and people are fascinated by it, I'm just going to put this soap opera on and run it 24 hours a day. And who cares if I'm actually serving the news to the audience, as I claim I am. I'm just going to do this as long as this soap opera keeps working. Well,
that is the corporate media structure, and Chris Cuomo explains it perfectly in the next clip. Take a look.
Welcome back to CNN. Often in a situation like the mystery of Malaysian Flight 370, the job is to have more questions than there are answers, because simply not enough is known. So if it seems like we're nibbling around the edges, it's because we are. If it seems like you're trying to avoid the suggestion of speculation, it's because you have to, because the facts often will lead you in the right direction, and until you have them, you can just be as scattershot as the theories and ideas that we're hearing about where this plane may be. But the bottom line is, The authorities and those who are supposed to know simply do not. So we monitor the situation as best we can, learning what we can as we go along. One way to do that is by being everywhere the story is, and that's what CNN is doing on this and every story.
It became so obvious and overwhelming that they were just pounding this to oblivion that basically was being apologetic there on air for sorry that we're subjecting you to this hour after hour. And that's a management decision. It's not really on the anchors. Management decides this is the direction we're going, and we just don't care about any of the other news.
Yeah, and look, it's a temporary ratings boost, but while you're doing this, while you're focusing on a story that has no new information, you're neglecting other stories that are actually relevant. So you kind of have to balance things out, and CNN's kind of failed to do that recently. Or
absolutely.
Over the last few years.
Or decades.